Do not attempt to adjust your podcast player. We are controlling the transmission. We are here to be your guide, helping you to explore local events, the art scene, music, theater, sports, and possibly a conspiracy or two. All here on the GCRX Radio and Podcast Network.
Good evening, all. How the heck are we? Good evening, good evening, good evening. I have missed you guys. It's been like a week, but we are here. And it's Monday, January 20th, 2025. I'm rocking my Marvel mug. Mariah and Daryl Sullivan, thank you very much for the mug. I appreciate you guys. Ooh, it's been a week, man. Let me tell you, it's been so much fun. Let me run through introduction super quick. As always, I got Engineer Bill. How are you?
Good. You?
I'm good. How was your weekend?
Uneventful.
Okay, right on.
It was nice.
Right on.
Just normal stuff.
And today is Money Monday. So that means we got RNV.
What's poppin'?
Robert Nelson the Fifth.
I'm here.
How was your weekend?
It was cool, man. It was chill. Did a little birthday party, a little teen's birthday party.
A teen's birthday party? What did that entail?
Like, it was a friend, and it was her son's birthday party. She wanted to host it at the rec center, but she is not technically a Florissant resident. So I hosted it at the rec center.
Nice.
Because I am a Florissant resident.
Mm-hmm.
So because I hosted it, I had to be there. And it was funny because I was about to go off on the lady. She's like, "Oh, it looks like you have a balance." I'm like, "A balance for what?" She was like, "A rental for $295." I'm like, "For rental? For what?" And she's like, "Look like you rent out the games." And I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. I was about to go off on that lady.
Like red tape? What red tape? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's cool though. I love birthday parties. In fact, last time we were here, we had gone to Adeline's birthday party, and
we talk about like it was a crazy time. She's 3.
But she's
we stayed up till 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
right.
She's the cutest, most adorable kid, though. I don't know if I told that story where I took the cookie from her by accident.
How do you accidentally?
You did.
I told that story.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
If you want to see it, go back watch that episode.
Yeah, you gotta. It was a month ago, so like 4 weeks from today. Anywho, today, January 20th, it was not election day. It was inauguration day.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys watch the inauguration? Any bit of it?
I did not.
I listened to it.
You listened to it?
Driving.
I hung lights.
I'm so done with politics just in general. Like I guess it's called political burnout, and I don't even want to be like, I don't care. I thought it was called Screw the Man, but seriously, I wouldn't have cared even if Harris had won. Like I don't care.
I'm the same way.
It's like, okay, can we just go on with our lives? Like, I still need to do the control arms on my car and the brakes. Like, that's obviously more important than whatever is happening in the government. Like, I don't care. Now, I will give a damn. And isn't interesting. Like, do you remember where you were when Michael Jackson died?
I was at school.
I'm sorry, what school?
Yep.
Like college?
No, I was. What grade was I? I was definitely in grade school.
It was 09, bro.
Yep. So I was like 8th grade. No. That's high school. I'm tripping.
That was 16 years ago, bro.
I'm tripping. I was in high school. Yeah. But I remember it was all over, like everywhere. Then when I got home, my stepdad had a Michael Jackson magazine. What magazine was it? I forget like the actual magazine, but it was his face on the front real big. When I got home, he was like putting that in the sleeve. Like, I guess, like, I'm saving this forever now, like kind of things.
It's not worth anything unless, you know, he autographed.
I know, yeah.
It is what it is. Where were you when Michael Jackson died?
09?
Yeah.
Probably at work.
Yeah. I was at Starbucks.
Yeah, I'm sure it was at work.
I was working at Starbucks. It was like, oh, Michael Jackson. I was like, oh, okay. Like, so do we move on? And the reason I even reference this is it would have been a different ball game. And this is what I mean when it comes to celebrities and everything. If you're paying my bills, I can care. Okay. Like, that sounds awful, but oh, it's terrible. They died. It was like Jimmy Carter died. Okay. The dude was 100 years old.
Yeah. He lived a good life.
Yeah. Started Habitat for Humanity. Like, good stuff.
Maybe like too. So
wait, hold on. Michael Jackson wasn't paying your bills?
No,
he was
I was never
paying yours, wasn't he?
I was never invited to the Neverland Ranch, so no, he didn't pay a dime to me.
I see what you did there.
That's awful.
Hey, y'all set me up. My wife loves Michael Jackson. So.
I know she does because I said something about it yesterday in church, and she looked at me. What you got to say about Michael Jackson? And I was like,
oof.
Sabrina?
You would have swore she knew him personally.
I know, but she was. And all I was saying was Michael didn't exactly release a ton of hits. Like he had, considering his discography was only 10 albums, he had a lot of number ones and a lot of top 50s, a lot of top 10s, but like he didn't release like 400 albums. It was just like he was.
No, a ton of people argue that Michael Jackson as an artist, like he was like okay and like a good singer. It was his showmanship that that really sold him.
That was the thing. Like he was total package. In fact, I think my brother told me that what was it? Like MTV was basically created for Michael Jackson so that they could air his music videos. And I was like, I mean, that's cool. Did he get a cut in any of it? No, I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. But yeah, like in the event that as important as things may seem, if not feeding me, financing me, or there's another F in there somewhere that I dare not say.
Why? You've already said on the show before.
I have multiple times in that one episode. And the lesson that I learned, the person I learned that from, I wish I remembered her name. I don't know if we're friends on Facebook at all, but if you're out there, I still remember this. I was working at an IHOP. Getting ready to I was a management trainee, and I used to just inject myself into every conversation because I've got something to say. So I'm throwing my 2 cents here, throwing my 2 cents there. I throw my 2 cents in her conversation, and she says, "Why are you in my mouth?" And I said, "I mean, yeah, you always got something to say. If you're not feeding me, financing me, or effing me, you ain't got nothing to say to me that I could care about." And I was like,
oof.
She's 17 years old. I think at that point I had just
at 17. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on. Who's doing all of that to you
17.
at 17?
Right. So she was like just about to turn 18. So she was just about to start serving tables. But I mean, she dropped the people's elbow on me, and I was not prepared for that.
I was threatening to tell her mama.
Tell her mama for what?
Because obviously somebody out here doing one of them F's to you, and you 17. I'm snitching.
I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't at that point, it very much clearly was not my place. So I just shut the hell up.
I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Been there, done that.
And she tested me a couple of times. You ain't got nothing to say about that, Brian?
Nope. Done.
Nope. What was that? My table's calling me. I gotta go. Like that was just how that went. I got nothing.
I feel that.
I got nothing. Oh, I do want to bring this to anybody's attention if anybody's looking right here. I got this fun little ditty. It probably blends into everything.
It's actually been pretty visible.
It's pretty visible.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I think,
cool.
But you can't. From here, it's not very distinguishable.
It is crooked though, so
Oh yeah, it is a little crooked. I'm seeing.
I'm telling you.
I have to alert your commanding officer of your violation.
Don't do that.
I'm going back to my statement earlier. It's giving Woody.
What, dude? It is Starfleet.
I get it.
Not Space Command.
I get it.
It's a Starfleet DS9 pin, and I got one, and engineer Bill got one, and he also got Lieutenant Pips. Yeah.
You ordered the wrong ones. It's Captain.
No, it's 2 for you, 2 for me, bro.
Okay.
We're gonna send together, bro.
Okay. Gotcha.
We're both lieutenants right now.
I'm hollering.
Well, that's okay. I can still cause a bunch of trouble then. if
We
I'm a
skipped
lieutenant.
ensign altogether.
Yeah, I'm not Harry Kimming. Sorry.
No, that's why. That's why.
I'll get one of those pips with the black insert. I'll be lieutenant commander.
Yeah. That's what they sell those.
Nice.
That's wild.
Did we talk about at the all in the show? We've got to go back and look. Well, can't do that right now. But since we're on the topic of Star Trek, the lady
surprise show. This show is us going back watching other shows.
Yeah. There was a lady who got tickets. So she was in I know we talked about this. She loves Star Trek and she lives in Huntington, New York. She just gave up her car a couple years ago back in 2020 and she had a New York license plate that said NCC 1701 because you can fit that many characters on a New York license plate, seven characters. And she retired the plate. She sent it back to the state of New York with the registration. She gave up her car. She doesn't drive anymore. But you can actually get them on Amazon. And it's a New York plate that says NCC 1701, which if you're familiar with Star Trek, that's the
registry number
for the Starship Enterprise. Every Enterprise has had one. Except the first one. That was the NX-01.
Because it was experimental.
Yeah, it was experimental. But from Kirk all the way up to, now 7 of 9, Captain 7 of 9, they've all had the same call sign, NCC 1701. There's the 1701 A, B, C, D. The D was the one that Picard had.
Next Generation.
The original 1701 and the 1701A were both helmed by Kirk. But in any case, so NCC 1701, cool, no problem. People are buying these license plates and they are driving around the country using these as license plates. And in one case, somebody committed a robbery and they contacted this woman in Huntington, New York. And this robbery took place in Ohio.
And she's getting violations.
Speeding tickets. Yeah, because they're not checking, who has the plate? Oh, the plate is retired. They're just seeing the plate and the state, and they're just sending her because she was the last person to have it, especially considering it says New York. So,
I got a toll camera violation. This has been last year, probably mid last year. I don't even remember where it was from, somewhere East Coast. But it had my old license plate from Illinois on it. And my old license plate from back when I had a car long ago.
Oh, so no truck, no minivan.
No. And I'm like, gosh, those things, I haven't had those plates since I was probably 20.
What?
And
so it's been a minute.
And it was Illinois plates with that number on it. And I'm like, that's for sure the plate that I had. But I'm like, I communicated back to him. I'm like, hey, I don't know what database you got to check or
might want to
whatever.
Update your database.
But that ain't me and hasn't been for a long time. And they dropped it. I thought I was going to have to fight for it. I'm like, bro.
Just for fun, I would have rolled on it with red Sharpie. Catch me if you can.
No!
Send it back.
Send it back.
So there was a dude I used to work with, and he got back when they were doing cameras initially, I took a picture of his plate and they sent it to him and they sent the ticket with it. He ran a red light. This is it. This fool sends a picture of $100 bill. It was an $80 ticket. He sends a picture of $100 bill and says, I want my change back. So they sent him the updated one with the fee because, it's late. And he was like, oh, you guys were serious. Wait. Yeah.
This land will be
Those cameras are funny, and I thought the people were supposed to review them. There's an officer. Somebody at some point in time said there was an officer that would go through all of the red light tickets and all that stuff. But I got one for my company vehicle when I was driving a company vehicle. I had switched vehicles, and they transported the other vehicle to somewhere down in Texas, and the vehicle has a toll fine thing that came back to me from Texas. And I'm like, I don't go to Texas. I haven't been to Texas in years. But it was my old company vehicle on a truck. And they had taken a picture of the license plate on the flatbed truck of my old company vehicle. And I'm like, guys.
Wait, the company vehicle was on the back
of a flatbed. Not even being towed, the wheels down on the back, but all the way up on a flatbed, chain down, 2 license plates, the company vehicle and the flatbed truck, and they picked the license plate of my company vehicle.
Say this truck ain't even moving.
Like, bro, yeah,
That is hilarious.
I was
the
like,
level
really?
of
You got the wrong car. This car is not in violation. The car driving this car is in
Right.
violation.
like the tow truck is the one that
Yep, but they sent it, and I just laughed, and so I communicated with them from my company email, and I'm like, you might want to look at the picture again.
it's not like the company
No,
vehicle
you could clearly
is
see
sitting on top of the flatbed, pushing the flatbed
No.
where it needs to go.
You could clearly see
That's
the
not a-
flatbed's license plate, tail lights, make out the flatbed, see the company vehicle up on the flatbed. Like, you could clearly see it, and yeah, they still sent it. Like, oh, you're looking for money.
Somebody did not do their job.
Yep.
That's what that was.
Quick birthdays. Happy birthday, Alex Frankie, the RVP, back in New York. Love you, bro. Happy birthday. You're now 50 plus something. I don't know, but I'm really excited to be your friend and to be my mentor. And I love you. And I'll see you in December. Like, it's going to be cool. I'll actually see you Saturday on our Zoom call, but whatever. I'll see you in person in December. All right, cool. Now, that was like the worst segue ever because now
It was.
let's
was
talk.
terrible.
It was just like so abrupt.
It
I
was.
really need to work on that.
That's fine.
Is it?
It's all right.
Maybe when we
Are
change
there
the name of the
rules?
show,
Are there rules?
then I'll get better at that.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Could just
Speaking
make
of
real.
which, I'll throw this out there for you guys. For those of you out there in the interwebs, we are looking to make some adjustments to the show. One of them is the name of the show. And I'd like some feedback. So if you wouldn't mind putting down in the comments while you were watching, we'll take a look at that. And we definitely value your feedback. So yeah, I like the idea of your favorite guy podcast because that doesn't exist anywhere. I've done some looking, some digging. In the Metro, you kind of have to cycle through a lot in different algorithms to find it, but we don't really talk much about stuff that's happening in the Metro often enough. And I kind of want to take the show in another direction, more along the lines of finance, like tonight. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas about what you want to talk about or what you want to have on the show, like the name of the show, please put it in the comments and we'll seeing your wife's comment, by the way. She says I fights for Mike.
Oh. Oh, MJ. Okay.
Michael Jackson. But yeah, feel free.
Like, are we talking Mike
yeah.
and Ike's?
No, not Mike and Ike's. Listen,
Mike
Oh,
Jordan.
Tim from Mostly Hockey said, let me Google your favorite guy. And he says, uh-oh. So I'm not sure what his Google results returned, but uh-oh doesn't bode well for that.
that's not okay either.
But that, in that context, your favorite guy,
Oh, gosh.
that could go
so many ways.
different ways.
Maybe the I don't know, the finance guy. I kind of want to throw my name in there. Brian
but do
Woodwine,
we-
the finance guy.
Do we want it to be all finance, though? Like,
I don't want it to be all finance.
Have
we
you
talk
tried
about a wide range of
ChatGPT?
stuff.
Yeah, like I like the idea of, you know, your favorite podcast, you know, like, and we'll talk about, yeah, we're going to come in, we're going to talk about certain things, but we'll talk about like the thing that you enjoy, like your favorite things, you know, like, by the way, in case you were wondering, this is Earl Grey hot, you know, because Star Trek, oh, Lord have mercy, my comm badge. It's, you know, biosignature.
He didn't get it from a replicator, though. It's
Mm-mm.
legit.
Not at all. Not at all. Where I got it from was the Board Gamery, which is here, 1406 Niedring House, down in downtown Granite. And you guys can come on through because it's awesome down here. And we have trivia. Anime trivia has been pushed back because we didn't do it in January, but it's been pushed back to the first Friday in February. And I think that's the 7th. So we'll see you then for trivia. And then Dungeons and Dragons will be on the 8th. So yeah, and then we're here every Monday. But what I would definitely want to talk about today is what, like, the reason we're here. We're talking about budgeting after the holidays. And I know for a lot of people, maybe credit cards became your frenemy over the holiday season. There was the idea of like, I really want to get this, and like time is of the essence, so I got to put it on my credit card like right now. And you might have done one or too many swipes or chip inserts or on your interweb thing, you know? So yeah, we're definitely here to talk about how we're going to break down getting that debt cleared fairly soon and what this means to you. So I'm opening up for questions as well, but let's start the conversation.
For sure.
So
I get this a lot in my line of work.
mm-hmm.
Clients disappear around like November-ish, fall off the map. Like you're like texting, hey, what's up with your goals? You hitting them up, nothing. They completely gone. And then you will hear from them around this time. And they're like, oh my God, I screwed up. Like my budget is all out of whack, and it's all things that are wrong. And essentially it's due to the holidays. And it's one of those things where if people have not prepped for it, or they initially weren't in a place to be able to prep for it, then it's gonna happen. If we do not have money saved for the things we're trying to do, debt is gonna be the next step that we run to, and that's what happens during the holidays. So I want to chat through a few ways to bounce back from that, and then hopefully get to a place where we don't even get there anymore, and we can plan for the holidays. And then maybe some mindset changes around the holidays and some things that in your family may be taboo or something that's abnormal. I'm going to challenge you to do them anyway if it's better for your financial health. So first of which, when you're going through your budget after the holidays, give yourself, you can beat yourself up, give yourself about a day of, oh my God, I was so silly. Why did I do that? Like, give yourself a day of that. Don't sit in it. But after you do that, you got to open up every nook and cranny. That means get out a pen and pad, get out your notepad on your phone, get your budgeting app, whatever you use, and write out all of your expenses. Everything that's a monthly expense, write it out. Because now we have to redo the budget, factor in any debt we racked up, any money that we loan or like got from family members or whatever, however we got ourselves in this bind. And then we got to figure out how much total money are we outputting every month. Then secondly, we then go and then we list out our income. Most people already know their incomes. I know some people have merit raises at work. I say take advantage of those merit raises, essentially where you get 2 to 5, 6%, whatever raise a year. Don't increase your standard of living, just increase the money you're outputting to pay things off or to savings. And then after you list those two things, here's the best part. You balance them. You figure out at the end of 1 month, do I come out more expenses or do I come out more income? And then here's where the rubber meets the road. If that number comes out, so if you find out at the end of 1 month, if I list all my expenses, all my different debts and my monthly payments, it shows that I have more money at the end of the month. Like either congratulations for one, you beat most Americans, but two, I would first recheck the list, make sure you got everything down.
And by everything, you definitely mean Netflix,
Yep.
Hulu, Disney Plus, because those are those small things, those microtransactions that just kind of jump out.
Yep.
And they'll catch you and you'll be like, oh yeah. I missed that one.
So what I always tell folks is we trick ourselves and we think like it's the big stuff. My rent is so high, Rob, or my car note is crazy. I'm so sick of this car insurance. It's really not the big stuff that get us. We plan for that every month. It was that $2 Snickers at Snooks that got you.
Yep.
That's what it was. So we have to plan for everything in our budget.
It's those lattes.
Yeah, it's the lattes. But you got to put that in. And I want to be very clear. I'm not saying deprive yourself of the things you love. I'm saying plan for them. So, and plan a certain amount based off how much you make. But you recheck the list. You realize everything is in there. Oh, one thing I want to double back to.
Yep.
Spending money is an expense. You have to put spending money on there.
Spending money in what respects?
And money that you just want to leisurely spend every month. So it's a few ways you can do it, and I'm not gonna go down a rabbit hole because we'll take up the whole episode. But you can either break out each of those categories, like with this much for fast food, this much for shopping, this much for going out, or you can lump it all into spending money, and then you just use that money for that pay period. For me, that's easiest. So what I like to do is I budget out all the important things, and then I have my spending money bucket. And that money goes to one card all by itself. So I know for this pay period, this is how much I got on this card. The great thing about it, when that card goes empty, life is not over. I'm good. Like groceries are still in the house, gas is still in my car.
Right.
I just gotta say no. If somebody like, hey Rob, let's go shoot pool. Sorry, bro, I ain't got no bread. Like that's it. So, but having that spending money category on your expenses is crucial, because if you don't put it on there, guess what? You're gonna do it anyway. Now you just threw off your budget. So spending money, savings, all of those should be on the list. Then, so once you balance them, you realize you have more income than you do expenses at the end of the month. Find somewhere for that extra money to go. Either put it in savings, put it towards, you can accelerate a debt. No matter what you do with it, find somewhere for that money to go.
So at the end of the month,
You
should be at a net zero.
And that's scary for some people, because they're thinking, well, I don't have money for this, or I don't have money for that.
Right.
All of those should be if at the end of the month, if it comes out to zero and you're scared, that means you're missing a category somewhere. So you have to figure out, okay, well, do I want X amount of dollars in my savings? Should I put this money aside for spending? Or maybe I'm not putting enough money aside for spending. I'm overspending every month. Maybe I should put more money towards spending. But it's figuring out those right allocations once you balance them.
Dang, I thought it was like a goal just to spend it all every month, no matter what.
I think that's the point, though.
Just spend it all. But
like if I don't get down to zero, they're going to reduce my budget next month.
I'm hollering.
What are we, government?
Yes.
So even if
I don't use it on my wife, gonna cut it.
So even if I buy meat sticks, by the way, thank you, Mostly Hockey, for the meat sticks. Even if I buy meat sticks, it was upside down. Even if I buy meat sticks, I should definitely put that on the budget.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything that shouldn't go on the budget?
Anything, it depends on the person. I mean, if you're spending money on it, if it's stuff you're not spending money on, it probably shouldn't go on a budget. You should not have a succulent budget if you don't buy succulents like this. So if it's something you don't do, don't put it on there.
Well,
obviously,
that's the secret budget that goes towards other things. You got to call it something, you know.
So crazy enough, this actually used to happen.
I want to hear this because you started with crazy enough.
Because he's being funny, but this real life happened a few years back. I budget out our money and I allocate so much money to gas a month. And this was a few years ago. Gas started significantly going down.
Mm-hmm.
And I was changing my gas money, but Sabrina never told me to change hers. And I was just like, well, maybe she's just using that much money for gas. She does drive further than me for work. Is whatever. Like, hey, I'm not questioning. It is what it is. And one day we were doing something, and I was like, "Oh, did you?" I'm like, "Did you use all your spending money? Did you want me to pay for it?" She was like, "No, I'll just take it from the extra of my gas money." I'm like, "You should not have extra in your gas money."
Listen, I'll be honest with you. So, this came up in the comments. We've recently seen a resurgence of Transformer toys. You say, Optimus transform, and it's like, oh, Optimus Prime. Those, according to Matt Fleming, should not be used for your budget. Like, don't.
I'm hollering. But if you
wait,
that's your thing,
yeah, if it's a goal,
if it's a goal, yeah.
So like you could save on, like, don't be impulsive, because like, hey, there's a video card that I want right now for my home computer. The card that's in it, I'm not super happy with it. It works. I should be happy with it, but I'm not. So I want this card, and it's the new Intel card because it's like the best of both worlds. Got a lot of good features.
Okay.
But the
Minnesota.
We
both said okay at the same time.
My impulsiveness makes me want to just go find a way to buy it right now. But what I should do is say, hey, here's a new budget category, and it's for this.
Saving
And
for that.
I'm going to put, 25, 50, whatever dollars a paycheck into this until I have the money to get it. And then I purchase said card and then I end that budget line.
Now that's brilliant. And the reason it's brilliant is because we want to get to a point where I've seen clients where debt keeps them up at night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that idea of, oh man, but I got $50 of space on my credit card. I could just go get this thing right now. But then you've maxed out the card again.
And you're paying interest on it.
And you're paying interest on it. Like there are still people who minimum payments, they're paying for fuzzy dice from the 80s and the 90s.
Yep.
Like that's
Pet
a real
rocks.
thing.
Pet rocks.
Pet rocks. Yeah. I thought you just go into the yard and grab one.
No, my grandpa
it was
had a
a-
pet rock, like a legit pet rock.
That's how I
was a
got my
thing.
pet rock. I found it out in the street.
Yours wasn't authentic. Yours was fake.
What do I-
Knockoff pet rock.
What do I care? Like it was.
Oh, you got to have brand name. It's like saying you have Nike shoes, but you get the cheap Temu knockoffs. Yeah, no.
You leave my shoes
Jikey.
alone, bro. Like, oh, and that's another one. Like Temu. Oh my gosh. So I
Temu's
bought some
terrible.
stuff off of Temu. I got Temu headphones, and when I tell you they're not entirely terrible. They're great if I am going to walk for an hour because that's as long as the charge lasts.
Oh, so like trash and a half.
I guess
Oof.
I can only do one earbud at a time. I only do one earbud at a time.
Those are
because-
terrible. You said it's not.
No. I have to because I need to be aware of my surroundings.
Oh,
So if I'm going
okay.
for a walk in the park, I don't even care. Like I'm listening to a podcast, I'm listening to it out of the right ear. When that one dies, I go to the left ear and I charge the right one. But they only last about an hour.
Man, you
So
should have just went all out and got like the Apple Vision Pro.
I kid you not, they were $7.98. And ever since then, they've just been blowing up my phone with, we've got deals, we've got sales, we've got a couch. It's usually $2,000, but now you could have it for a low price of $599. And I'm like, oh, that's 75% off.
Jeez.
But I'm not trying to buy a couch off of Temu
No.
because I need like a real couch. And granted, this one, it sits on the floor and it opens up to be a queen size bed, which is
You're
super
gonna
cool.
get that, and it's gonna be like a dollhouse couch,
It's gonna be, and I know that's the case.
Barbie couch.
I mean,
I'm not feeling that, but the idea of I got a credit card. Like I know I got into credit card debt bad one time. I got a credit card. My credit was terrible, so I ended up getting. I think it was. Should I say the name of the company?
Yeah,
Let's just go with I got a credit card. We'll just go with that. And I used to have trouble sleeping, and I would find myself like up late at night. And this is back when e-commerce was like in its infancy. So I'm like, oh, I could just get this right now. And I would buy books, and I'd buy like I didn't have a job, but I'm sitting there like spending money. I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like, dude, just no, wait. You don't need it right now. And that's the kind of catch-all when it comes to credit cards.
Yep.
Because the average credit card rate used to be 18.9%. And now the average credit card rate is closer to 30.
yep.
It's about 29.9 or 29.8%. And
wasn't
that's
there a recently?
average.
Wasn't there recently some talks about credit card percentages and how somebody was saying something about like the 24% interest rate on credit cards being astronomical, and that they were going to look to try to cap the interest rate on credit cards.
So I know if you
They
go
could
to
try.
a credit union,
Mhm.
credit unions are built into the municipalities,
Yeah.
right? So because the municipality can only charge but so much for interest, a credit card from a credit union usually doesn't go beyond like 9%.
Depends on a credit union.
It depends on the credit union because it depends on that municipality.
Yeah, that and if what a lot of credit unions do now to save money, they third party their credit cards. So if they third party in it, man,
then you're
Yeah,
just getting it like
yeah,
anybody
yeah,
else.
yeah.
Yeah, 24%.
And now you can
interest
get it might be lower. It might be 17% or 18%.
Well, and you got to watch it too, because a lot of times there's an introductory rate.
Right.
For the first year, it's 10.99%. You're like, oh, this is great, but you don't read the fine
Fine
print.
print says
you
this
know,
thing
24.
this thing will jump up to 24%.
Yeah.
And there are some credit cards that I've seen where it's locked in at 10.99%. But if you're late on a payment for another credit card, they reserve the right to jack their interest rate up as well.
Jeez.
And you figure you're going from like 10.99. Oh, I got this when I was in a really good place. And now you're not in that best place. And you go to, you miss a payment, you're 30 days late on something, and you're like, oh man, or, your mortgage or something, like things happen.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden that 10.99 is 22.99, and you're going, how did the rate double? Well, yeah, you missed the payment over here, and it says here in the terms and conditions that you signed that you agree to the fact that we reserve the right to do this.
Yep.
So,
or remove, restrict whatever your credit limit to anytime they briefly look at your credit report and they're like, oh, well, this looks risky. Now, you had $1,000 credit limit. Now you're down to 500. Or what I've seen recently they'll do is they'll drop your credit limit down to the exact amount you have on your card. And that's problematic in my opinion, because if you're in financial hardship and you're barely trying to keep up, if you've got, let's say you're carrying a $900 balance on your card, of course, every month that you go along paying just the minimum balance on that, you're going to accrue interest. And there are situations where you can very quickly exceed the available balance on your card because of the own interest that they're charging you. And now there are additional penalties with that per the agreement. And you just kind of got backed into a corner by their own doing because they pulled your credit limit down because you're a risk now. And they know that you're struggling because they looked at your credit report. They can see that you're, 30 days behind on this, 60 days behind on that, whatever. And now they've screwed you. So you're going to end up being behind on them too.
Yep. And the whole credit trap really does come down to the fact that it's almost legal predatory lending.
Yep.
The idea
That's exactly what it is.
And I remember learning about this as I'm sitting for the mortgage license, but there was something called redlining where back in the day, mortgage loan officers would draw a line and say, okay, the people in this neighborhood or these neighborhoods, we don't loan to at all. And that's illegal now. There's something else called reverse redlining where they say, okay, the people in these neighborhoods, we're only going to give them like the absolute worst and crappiest products. Right. Like it's predatory lending. And that is also illegal because if you're going to offer it to these people, you got to offer it to everybody. That's kind of how it is. So the idea of you're in a financial hardship and now we're just going to make it worse. Like a lot of banks and credit card companies make a ton of money off of late fees. They make a ton of money off of your ability not to pay them is what they're banking on. They're banking on the fact that, oh, you overdrew, you're over your limit. Well, now we got to, it's a penalty. It's $35. Well, I wrote a check to you guys and I had the money when I wrote the check. I don't know who writes checks anymore, but when I initiated the payment, and then, Hulu hits for $5.99 and you're like, oh man, well, that drops your $25 to, $18.99. And you're like,
they get the fee.
And then that fee hits and then it just becomes this cascading effect. And it's painful. So one thing that I know I definitely want to do from where I'm sitting is empower you guys, give you guys an opportunity to like get really good with money, get well, become financially whole, and then financially better. And if I can succeed in helping some people do that, then this makes all of this totally worth it. So that's why we're doing shows like this.
Yeah. You were just talking about things hitting the account, and I don't know if they do it anymore because I thankfully don't have to pay attention to it as much anymore. But I noticed that one of the banks that we used to be at, they would have all the queued transactions for the day before the bank opened, and they'd take all of the debits from the account before they took the credits to the account, which would sometimes
charge more fees
in overdraft fees and things like that. Like, hey, my paycheck has been sitting there I got paid on Friday and it didn't direct deposit or whatever. And so here comes Monday and it, goes into the account and it's in the queue, but all the other purchases hit before that and cause an overdraft. Then my paycheck hits in your line of processing, but I had 3 $25 overdraft fees before you processed the paycheck that was already there and should have been there before those transactions went through. Like, it's just, they do these silly little things, and these banks have actually gotten in trouble too.
Yep.
Some banks had class action lawsuits and stuff because they're just, fee after fee after fee after fee. And, people have to spend hours on the phone trying to explain, like, bro, why did this happen? And it's just silly things too. Like, I remember years ago, I can't remember what lender we had. I want to say it was Wells Fargo, but they took the mortgage for the month out of the account twice.
And getting that money back is a nightmare and a half.
It's like an act of God.
And they're not going to say, oh, don't worry about next month.
Well, no, actually they did. They said,
That's
hey,
what they do. Yeah,
we'll just, it's no problem. We'll just credit it towards next month. And I'm like, no. You don't understand.
Need that.
I am like living, you can tell here, you could see my, like, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, bro.
Yeah.
Barely making, I got a bunch of kids to feed.
Right.
And at that time it was like $550, and that doesn't seem like much, but the $550 went a long way back then.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I need it back now. And they're like, well, I don't know.
Take 3 to 5 business days.
Right. And we'll have to send you a paper check. And I'm like, you took it out of my account electronically. Like, bro, I don't care about
this
your
phone
policies.
real quick.
Right. No, like, bro, you don't understand. I ain't got no money. I'm done. That's
right.
It. And you took it. And that money was, earmarked for whatever. Like, bro, like, yeah. The person who just commented in there, like, yeah, bro, I need my money back now. Like,
yeah,
I'm glad that, hey, my mortgage is taken care of for the next month, but I didn't have my budget to lose $560 freaking now.
Like, I can't tell the other bills wait till next month and like, no,
right.
Give me that back.
Because you know what's going to happen? They're going to look at me and go, I really don't care what's going on.
Right. And they were just there were a couple people that I talked to that were like understanding. And I assume those people probably also live paycheck to paycheck but for the most part, some of the people that I talked to are like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, bro, it's your responsibility. You came and you like stole the freaking wheels off my car, and you're like, well, it was a mistake, but we're not correcting it. Like, no.
My brother Carlisle, I don't talk about him very often, but I've learned some gems from him. I remember one day were we at the airport? We were somewhere, but his response to, well, there's nothing I can do. Go find me somebody who makes more money than you.
Right.
Like your supervisor. I don't give a damn. You go find somebody who makes more money, get them here, because obviously you're the wrong person to talk to. And I was like, how are you just going to be rude to people? Until I had the moment where it was like, okay, obviously I'm not getting anywhere with you. Is there a supervisor? And I don't want to be like a Karen about the whole thing, whatever you call them. But the idea of, well, there's nothing I can do. Oh, well, I will beat you.
I was
your
so
arm,
mad.
dude.
I was literally so mad. And I remember the conversation, but I was like, well, I guess I just go to like the nearest Wells Fargo branch and take $550 worth of your crap and go sell it. Because you owe me now, and then you can just act like that never happened. I'm gonna go estimate that this this thing in this manager's office
$1,000 printer,
right?
I'm gonna sell it for $150.
This big copying machine, I can get it. That's worth $550.
The dude is clicking on his
Nope.
He threatened to rob the bank. No, I told you. Like,
I just like stare the guy in the eye and wheel the copier out, just like dead stare the whole time.
Does he? Who was that? I don't know, but he's coming back for another one. Okay.
Oh.
Hey, so I didn't finish on the other end. I think I left y'all hanging. My bad.
I interrupted. I apologize.
We obviously get distracted easily.
A little bit.
No, but this was on topic distraction.
It is.
So that's what works out.
So we talked about if you have more income than you do expenses. Now, if you fall in that other category with majority of Americans where you have more expenses than you do income, here's the solution to that. It's 3 ways to do it. And these are the 3 ways I live by. And I'll talk a little bit about how I use them. You can either increase your income, drastically decrease your expenses, or a mixture of the two. That is the only way to do it. Now, obviously, increase your income. Find either a job that pays you more, or find a part-time or a side gig, side hustle, or something that's going to render you more money a month.
I hear that selling copiers that you found at
At
Wells
Wells Fargo.
Wells
offices.
Fargo lobby. If you go to a Wells Fargo lobby near you, copiers are always in the room. They have a copy.
Hey, hear me out though. If you walk into the Wells Fargo wearing Dave's copier service on your on your shirt,
100%.
and you got a little hat on and maybe a tool looking belt, and you come pull up in a truck, and I'm here to service the copier, and you unplug it and you roll it out and you put it in your truck. Who's going to say anything?
This has gone from getting my mortgage back to a whole heist. Right? When you have to get costumes and this is a heist at this
You don't
point.
have a FedEx
Outfit just laying around. No,
I got mine a couple years ago for Halloween. I mean,
Years ago, some guy, we were talking, we used to like to go through abandoned buildings, not to be destructive, but just to go through
you
and
look at stuff.
everything.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. I used to love it. I'm too old and don't have enough time to do that anymore. But this old guy was like, I don't know why you guys go at night. He's like, you just need to pull up in the front of it during the day, put one of those yellow reflective vests on, maybe a hard hat, and ain't nobody going to say a word. You're supposed to be there. You're a service guy. And I'm like, you know what? That's the smartest thing ever. And then there's been guys on YouTube that have tested things out. Like they went to a random movie theater. They had work uniforms on, and they walked right through the turnstiles of the movie theater with a ladder, and nobody questioned them.
You
and
walking. Nobody just randomly carrying a ladder.
No,
you walk
they-
into
Right.
a ladder.
You have a purpose.
I'm
for
assuming
being
you're
there.
supposed to be here.
Yeah.
They put they
100%.
sat the ladder in the hall outside the
And
movie
they'll go
theater,
sit down
and
to
they
the
went
movies.
and
Yeah.
sat down and watched the movie, and nobody said a word to them. I'm like,
I'm
oh
with
my
it.
God.
I'm with it. I am 100% with
This is definitely a heist.
it.
This is a heist. At this
And
point.
then somebody else, I got to do this one too. Somebody else said hey, what would happen if you randomly sent a bill for something you never did to Walmart? You find out the store number, find out the store manager's name, all the relevant details, and some mundane service that could easily be oh yeah, they probably did that, and you just boom, send it to Walmart corporate. Are they going to pay it?
And this portion of the show is all about jokes. Okay. We are not advocating that anybody do this under zero circumstances. Are we saying just go do anything that we just recommended?
Yeah. Somebody just commented disclaimer. This is not advice.
This is
for
not
entertainment.
advice. We are not.
But if you do it in the work, let me know. I'm just
Please
playing.
message the show. Message
I'm
the show.
just playing.
Let us know. So what movie you want to see tomorrow?
Catch me if you can.
Catch Me If You Can. Oh, good movie. Ooh.
Okay.
All right. So drastically,
Yep.
getting back on track. Drastically reduce.
So increase income, decrease debt, or a mixture of the two. So increase income, get a higher paying job, get a side hustle, whatevs. The second one, decrease debt. I don't just say decrease, I say drastically decrease. Find something that's sucking a lot of money from your budget and eliminate it. Now, this can be easier said than done. That option is made for people who have savings and who can just throw a bunch of money at something and get it done. But the last one is a hybrid of the two. It is my favorite option. I do it all the time. It is when you do a mixture of increased income and drastically decreased debt. So I'm gonna tell y'all, Ryan she just turned 6. Before she was born in 2019, I had a car at the time with a car loan, and I'm planning everything for this new kid that's coming, and I'm excited. I work in finances, so I got my finance hat on, trying to give this kid opportunities that I never had. And I'm thinking about college and all these different things I'm trying to plan for.
That's what's up.
I missed something that was right in front of my face. And that was because I never had a kid this young, so I didn't know. Daycare.
Yeah.
I had no clue how much daycare was. So I never planned for it. I never thought about it until we're vetting a daycare facility. And the lady tells us oh yeah, we don't charge anybody more than $800 a month. And I'm just
I'm sorry. Well, that's $200 a week.
Yeah.
Lady.
At one point in time, Amy and I had to sit down looking at our finances. And I'm like, you realize daycare for the kids eats your whole paycheck. You're working for daycare. That's
You're
it.
literally working to
and I had no clue. That put us under. So now I'm like, the baby is not here, but we have a problem.
Yeah.
We cannot afford daycare. So what are we gonna do? So my car had about like roughly 6,000 left. I got a part-time overnight job at American Eagle Outfitters in the mall.
Just like restocking shelves and stuff.
Yep.
Real simple. Real simple.
And that's the thing to it. You got to find something that works for you. You got to understand who you are. What is your bandwidth? I always tell clients, figure out what you are willing to sacrifice. This is a sacrifice, which means it's not something exciting. It's not something that's going to be joyous, but you know it's something at the end of it. So figure out
extra money from DoorDash.
Yeah, and
right.
So and you might be sacrificing gas and time for that. So, but for me, I chose to sacrifice sleep instead of time with my family, and I hated the schedule. It was terrible. I mean, the work was fine. It was literally just come in, throw your headphones in. You got this wall of boxes. It should be gone by the end of your shift, which was like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. It was cool. We got to the point where my car was able to be paid off by December. The lowest daycare we was able to find was $75 a week. It was an at-home daycare of a friend of a family. We had like 2 kids in our family going through her daycare, and she had been in business for like 13, 14 years by this point.
So okay, so she's vetted.
Yeah.
And she's established.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So $75 a week, which given that's still way over our budget. Like at the end of the day, that's still like what, $300 a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's $300 a month. My card at the time was
$800.
$265. So when I paid off the car,
$35.
now we got $35 for daycare. I can swing $35 all day. we can do that for daycare. Right. So that was a mixture of the two. And then the good thing about it, if you know you have a deadline, suffer through that side job, that whatever you're gonna do, suffer through it, knowing as soon as this day come, I'm done. And here's the crazy part. I'm one of the kind of people, I don't believe in burning bridges like at all. Y'all, when I say I quit that job so fast,
he was standing
burnt that bridge
like the gas can, dumping it on himself like, and I ain't want none of this anyway.
They was trying to keep me there. I called the manager. I was like, "Hey, don't even put me on next week's schedule. I ain't gonna be there." Like,
I'm done.
Like, I was. And that's the thing. I'm the kind of person I'm gonna give it 2 weeks notice. I was so tired and sleep deprived. I'm just like, do not put me on schedule. I'm done.
You know, you say 2 weeks notice, but I don't believe in that anymore.
I don't believe in it either.
Nope.
It depends on the job.
We're gonna quick jump to a comment that was made by Sabrina Marie.
Advice from the
and the advice that she gave was get rid of the kids, save hella money that way.
Which is also not advice.
What do you mean?
I heard reduce the amount of debt, and I'm thinking like if I sell a couple children, the debt's gonna go down real fast.
I heard this dude. He said, I just adopted a couple kids because I very much I value that, like somebody else raising my kids. Man, we've got so much more money, and she's in a much better family than we are right now.
Oh, Holly.
They would return my. I have to say no returns. They return my kids.
Julia, definitely.
I'd rather do like a Hunger Games thing, like make a hot dog for dinner, throw it on the floor, and be like, last man standing gets dinner.
You ain't even gonna put it on a plate?
Nope.
Dang. Throw it on the floor. It's got
last man standing.
It's got crumbs on it.
Wow. That's so Dark Knight.
And then the dog gonna take it while they fight.
I'm gone. Like, oh, you missed out. Better luck next time, guys.
So wait, you would keep the dog but get rid of the kid?
The dog is cheaper than the kids. Think about
the dog don't ask for money. My kids ask for money all the time.
But anyway, so that's when your expenses are higher than your income. That's how you level them out. And then always have the plan like fully planned out, and like holler at a financial coach, figure out what the plan should be. But you can list out all your debts. You can figure out how to accelerate your debt payments, how to add more money to what you're paying off in a strategic way. So creating a debt snowball plan,
talk about that.
Or if you want to do like it's multiple ways. You can do snowball, you can do avalanches. It's so many different avalanches. When you do snowball is
and
so
the avalanche is what?
Avalanche is interest rate, highest interest rate.
Got you. Okay, cool. So I'm going to tackle the debt snowball super quick.
All right, Dave.
Whatever.
You say Dave?
Dave.
Yeah, all right, Dave.
Ramsey.
So So
You
that's
gotta
snowball.
talk like him too.
Oh man, I can't do that.
I can.
You can?
I can.
Oh.
Hold on. Let me get.
All right.
I'm about to give it to you.
All right.
So here, when you do the dead snowball, what you got to do is you're gonna take your. Dang, hold on, I threw myself off. Let me go back. Dead snowball. You're gonna take your lowest monthly payment, and then you're gonna add to that. Now you got to make sure that when you add to that monthly payment, that you're doing what you can afford. That's Dave Ramsey.
I got to be one of your average callers, but I'm $750,000 in debt, and I work at McDonald's.
How? Like, like I'm curious.
I owe money to the mob.
Clearly,
He'd be
you
harsh.
should
He'd be
just
like,
let them take your kneecaps, man.
you're acting like a loser and you're not using your money wisely. You need to wise up, put your money where it's supposed to go, utilize that McDonald's money the way it's supposed to be.
McDonald's money.
He'd be ruthless. I'm like,
Yo,
Dave Ramsey,
seriously,
bruh.
But Dave, I work 4 hours a week.
Like,
you need to find yourself. That leaves 164 other hours in the week. You can
And
go
they'll
find
say
yourself
something like
another
that.
job.
they'll say, and he'll set them up like, now I want to ask you this: how much you spending on fast food monthly, if you don't mind me asking? And I'm like,
I get my employee meal for free.
Mm.
I
So
live in the stock room.
So I saw several interviews that John Cena did, and one of the interviews that he said, yeah, you know, when he was coming up, he learned that, you know, he was living in his car.
mm-hmm.
The degree that he had wasn't worth the paper it was written on. Nobody was hiring for that degree. And he was kind of stuck in a situation where, like, I need to eat. Like, he was training at the gym. He was working, I forget where he was working, but it wasn't in his field. And he was training at, you know, at the wrestling gym, and to save money on food, there was this rather large pizza. And if you could eat the whole pizza
God.
in one sitting, they put your name on the wall, they
Mm.
put your face on, they took a picture, and yeah, like, you got it for free. So he went in the first day and he absolutely demolished this pizza. And it was like, wow, that was impressive. Picture on the wall. Day 2, he comes back, destroys the next pizza. Dude's like, okay, this goes on for about a week. And then the dude was like, all right, we're losing money here. Look, if you just need food, like, we'll just get you a couple slices. Like, I'm losing money on this. Your
Right.
name's on the wall 5 times.
So somebody somewhere's got some pre-famous John Cena photos on the wall.
Yeah,
for pizza eating?
pre-famous, back when he was the prototype.
Oh, bro, I'd go back and sign that stuff now.
Totally, yes.
Man.
Like,
But yeah, I know my food budget when I worked as a server, or if I worked in the food industry, my food budget plummeted like crazy.
mhm.
Because I would just, like, I can intermittent fast and then eat burgers for 2 hours and then be good, you know, like, okay, cool. Now I wasn't the healthiest because
I was gonna say it's gonna take a toll at your health, but at the age I was doing stuff like that, I didn't care about health.
Well,
Oh,
and
no.
At the age that I was doing that stuff, my metabolism could stand it.
Right.
I worked at Burger King, and, like, dude, I started out as a shift leader and then went on further and into higher management, however you can say that for a fast food place. But
Sorry.
like, my dinner every night was Burger King.
Yeah.
And you know, we all know, those of us who've worked in fast food and food service, like, what we're eating ain't on the menu. We make our own
Right.
stuff.
We make it
100%.
Yeah, I've always said, and we said this back then too, I'm like, the test kitchen should be all the employees being like, okay, with the stuff that we've got at this restaurant, this is what we've made.
Quadruple
Mhm.
cheeseburger
Right.
with
The only time we ever brought outside food in, we worked at this Burger King, and the Burger King wasn't very old at that point. It was built in like 98, and I think we were there 2001 or something, a fairly
Oh,
new
wow.
store. But anyway, one of the shift managers one night was celebrating birthday and something else at the same time, and so she brought steaks in, and we ran those steaks through the broiler. It's a chain fed broiler, actual fire, and they came out perfect. Absolutely
even
perfect.
down to the doneness, not just the
Bro,
crust.
they were like just a little over medium
My mouth
rare.
just started to water.
man.
I mean, they rolled through and we watched, and they came through out on the other side, and they were literally perfect with the grill marks and everything. I'm
Yeah.
like, why is nobody doing this? Why is
Can you
nobody
imagine
doing
Burger
this?
King selling like steaks,
Steak
Get you
burgers.
a
Oh,
ribeye, New York strip.
But my analytic, weird, visionary type of mind, I'm always thinking about something. But I'm like, oh gosh, if you had, a few different tracks on this thing, each track moving at a different speed, because that's what they do on the broiler. They say, okay, if we put a frozen beef patty on here and we run it through and we let it go through for 2 minutes, it's perfectly done. And it happens every time. It comes out every time perfectly done, as long as that oven broiler thing keeps its temperature. But if you, just worked it out, like, okay, they asked for their steak, medium rare, it goes on the, 2-minute side. They asked for their steak, well done, it goes on the 3-minute side.
you should never order a
easy.
steak well done.
No, it's like a hockey puck and you're
Eating a
wasting
brick.
Ever.
Yeah. But no,
I
it
mean,
was really cool.
ever. I listen to my face, people. Never. And if you're getting a sirloin well done, prepare for the whole table to know that you're cutting through it. The whole table just start moving. Yeah. Y'all know who
Oh
I'm
my
talking
gosh, so
to.
many people are like, oh, but I can't handle blood in my steak. It ain't
There's
blood.
so much more than just blood. And there's
it
plenty
ain't blood.
of temperatures between the two.
It's the moisture coming out of the muscle fibers. It's not blood. They drain the blood out of that a long time
Yes,
ago.
like the blood is long gone from the animal by
Yeah.
the time you get the meat.
And here's the thing: at the end of the day, you're eating it anyway. It's
Mhm.
just cooked.
Mhm.
Like I can't
If you really want the blood on the certain Sundays of the month at a church, you get the
that's
blood.
grape juice.
I know.
Nothing but the blood.
Unless you're Catholic, and then it's actually wine. You're getting the hookup.
I couldn't imagine being in recovery as an alcoholic and then like, oh hey, yeah, little cups. I saw this video. I sent it to Matt. Somebody's kid got into the communion and was sitting there just like eating and drinking. I was like,
you do what we wish we all could do.
like absolutely.
You know what disgusts me? The churches that, and I don't know, but I've seen there's like quite a few churches that do this, but like, the Catholics, you walk up and they go through the ceremony and each person gets their own handed individual thing from whoever's doing it. But there are some churches that you walk up and like, they will let you dip your bread into the, like that many hands going into the same liquid.
And you wonder why all y'all had the flu.
No.
So hear me out.
Okay.
And this is not to knock anybody Catholic, but I had my first experience at a Catholic church at a coworker's wedding. And when I say I fought so hard not to, I'm gonna say laugh, but just it was a lot of stuff going on that I wasn't ready for. And then it was a lot of realizations because I've been in a lot of Baptist churches that used to be Catholic churches, so they look like Catholic churches, but they're not Catholic. So I had a lot of realizations of like, oh, that's what that my whole life. So I give y'all an example. I know the little like kneel thing.
Yep.
My whole life thought that was a footrest. So
I'm with you.
So I'm trying to.
I saw that the first time I went. Yes.
My coworker is next to me. Another coworker, not the one that's getting married. Hopefully, she wouldn't sit next to me. And my coworker sit next to me, and I'm trying to let her down. She's like, "No, it's not time." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? It is time." So she's like, "What are you doing? Stop!" And I'm like, "Why are you blocking me? Let me let this down." She's like, "What is it?" She's like, "Are you trying to kneel?" I'm like, "What?" I'm trying to put my feet on her.
Most of them have the little pads on them. That's what it's for, kneeling.
And I'm like, I'm trying to, and I did like this with my legs. I'm like, she was like, no, that's for kneeling. I'm like, oh.
Now it makes sense.
I'm like, that's what that's for. I'm like, do you know how many churches I put my feet on that?
Yeah.
Like, and then they was doing communion. That was like the only thing I understood. I'm like, oh, I can do this part. I know. And she's like, you can't. I'm like, how you gonna tell me I can't? She's like, you're not Catholic. I'm like, I'm Christian. We do.
I'm
communion.
saved.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so look, I go up. I was like, where they cups at? She was like, oh, it's just the one cup. And I was like,
No.
oh, ain't no way. Let me sit back there. I said, all of these people drinking off the same cup.
No.
I was like, I don't need none of them like that. I'm good. I'm gonna pass.
No,
But
that comes back to the conversation I was telling somebody the other day that didn't know. I'm like, most of the population has mouth herpes. Literally. And we call it cold sores.
Mm-hmm.
because we can't handle mouth herpes, but there's a huge amount of the population that has cold sores.
And they even though they haven't manifested themselves yet, they're still there.
Yep.
And look, all the wine, all the alcohol in the wine, it ain't strong enough. All right, just understand, it's not strong enough to get rid of.
Yeah, and I'm not going to disclose who I said it to, but the look on their face was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, what do you think cold sores are? Just random sores on your lips?
82% of the population.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah.
Jeez.
By the way, hi Blair. Hi. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, that's when I first heard that fact, that went in the mind hole of facts that will never go away, like the amount of permissible foreign materials in foodstuffs around the nation. That's pretty interesting. And you don't understand that at first, but then you realize how things are stored and shipped, and you realize it's quite impossible if you're storing or shipping produce to keep, bugs and mice and things out of those things. And you think you go back the food chain and like think about like something like tuna or peanut butter. Well, like when you get it, it just comes in as peanuts. Well, there's probably mice in there and bugs and stuff. And as it goes through the line,
just start to water when he said that.
Again? Over bugs?
What?
I don't know.
You need to get that checked out.
Yeah, there's a whole tolerance chart of how much stuff is allowed in.
I mentioned this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
There's a rat content that you're allowed to have when it comes to meat.
Oh yeah.
And there was
I think that was the episode I was on.
Yeah. Had a buddy long ago. He's like, yeah, I used to work in a meat packing plant, and every night we would clean all the machines. He's like, we would literally, like, the place was clean. He's like, but in the morning you had to come in, wash the machines down again, and then start them empty to take care of the problems. And he didn't even have to say what the problems were. He's like, you would hear it, and you'd let the machines run, and you'd run water through them as they were going, and you just let it run for a while before you put product through it. Yep. And I'm like, oh wow. And yes, that was hot dog manufacturing.
Too bad my kids
By quality hot dogs.
So getting back to the topic, one thing that I noticed, and it's really, really beneficial, and we'll kind of make our way. Oh, did we even go through debt snowballing? Like, for real?
No, you said you wanted to
I said
cover
I was
that.
going to tackle that. We're going to do the Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
All right. So definitely, as you're starting your journey with budgeting, start with like a journal. Okay. I'll show you mine.
Even though we can't
Really
hear what you're
small.
saying.
And anytime I spend a dime anywhere, I just jot it down inside this book.
What if you spend a nickel?
Jot it down inside this book. That's what it's all
Only
about.
Oh, I thought only dimes.
Only dimes.
You
Anytime I
misled
spend any money.
It is also for good for hitting bill with it.
Anytime I spend any money, I put it in this little book. And it seems like, oh, well, why do I need to track it? Because you need to see where it is that you're spending your money. In a perfect world, oh, hey, I spent money at, Quick Trip or, the gas station or wherever, BP, whatever. And it seems benign, but that $2.50 that you spent on the candy bar, that means something to your budget.
Yep.
David Bach talks about it in The Automatic Millionaire, the latte factor. You spend $6 on a latte 5 days a week. I don't have any money to save. That's $30 out of your budget every single week. 30 times 4 weeks in a month. It's $30, right? Yeah, that's 60, 120, $120 that you said you didn't have. But if you even cut that in half, that's $60 that you can do something with.
Yep.
Somebody told me a long time ago, take that $2.50 candy bar purchase and then calculate that and how many hours you have to work. So,
right.
Okay, I would have had to have worked, at my current wage, a quarter of an hour to buy that candy bar.
Right.
Or whatever it is, and that brings it into perspective.
Equated to time. And it's like,
yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
And it's crazy because we were going to talk about tithing. That was something that I talked like, hey, let's talk about that. If you think about a tithe is 10% of your income, and you look at what you make in a week, a month, a year, and then you say 10% of that income is X, you start looking at how you purchase everything very differently. Oh, I'm gonna buy these Jordans, $375. Well, how long did it take for you to, how many hours did you have to work to make $375 to buy a pair of Jordans? Oh man, after taxes.
And then you got to look at too, like, why are you buying those? Like,
right.
At the end of the day, like, if you need a pair of shoes, you need a pair of shoes. But if you are in the mentality of buying something to impress other people, you're never going to budget.
Yep.
You're never going to budget. And unfortunately, unless you're like some extremely talented singer or somebody that's just going to be,
athlete.
Yeah, like you may need to impress somebody or do it for a brand or whatever. But honestly, when you get to that level, they're giving you stuff.
Yep.
But if you're stuck in a habit of, I've got to dress to impress and I'm just trying to be better than the Joneses, this show ain't for you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this though, and it's funny. I just got a notification from like Lyft that Men's Warehouse, I think it's like 25% off or something outrageous like that. And I was like, I am looking to upgrade. So why not upgrade for less? You know?
Mm-hmm. Well, and check out your benefits that you get from things. I just found out last week, literally, that part of our employee benefits includes a MetLife coverage for hospital indemnity and accident insurance.
Question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What does indemnify and indemnity? What does it mean?
What does it mean, Brian?
Do you know? This is a good one. Indemnification, indemnity, indemnify. It means to make whole. It's an insurance term.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are paying your car insurance premium and your car gets totaled, they indemnify you by sending you a check for the value of the car, whatever your coverage is. So indemnity, like hospital indemnity, whatever you pay out of pocket, they're just going to pay it to you or they're going to pay it for you. But they're going to make sure that you're made whole by the time it's all over.
Apparently, we've had this coverage since 2022. And and
you just found out.
Yeah, I didn't know. One of my coworkers is like, hey, did you know we have this? And I'm like, no. And he's like, check it out. I got like $17,000 back from hospital stuff that I've done over like the past couple of years. Because that's what we've paid into the hospital stuff. And they just wrote me a check and they're like, have a nice day. I'm like, oh, I didn't know we had this.
Then.
You know, and then there are company discount programs that we have. And then some of them are a little lame, like, 5% off, but 5% is 5%.
Dude, off of $100, that's $5. Okay, fine. But when you start getting up there, like it's $500.
Like we get,
give me that.
Yeah, we have employee discounts through like Dell and car rentals and Apple, 5% off Apple products. 5% ain't much when it comes to like a MacBook, but it's better than nothing.
I really hope they're not watching. I had a health insurance a few years ago that was paying for my gym membership. They're still paying for my gym membership.
Oh,
I haven't had that health insurance in 3 years. But
dang.
I should start going to the gym because it's
Probably.
not costing me anything.
Yeah,
They're just whatever deal they worked out. And I was like, hold on, it's still valid? I thought, thank you. Like, I didn't even say it in front of them. I was just like,
great.
Of course it's still valid.
Yeah. It's on my app and everything. I was
Yeah.
like, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. But it's situations like that you really should look into. Heck, going to Domino's, you know, you like Robert was talking about, and if you're a little underwater at the end of the month, you work at, let's say, Domino's or McDonald's or something like that, just to make the extra dollars. And because of the your affiliation with them, they may have something for shoes, they may have something for clothes, they may have something like for a gym, like they may have something for something that you get a benefit out of. So take advantage of it. You might as well.
And then just some mindset things for y'all. If now the goal is to do these things, get out of debt, get back to a place, either back to or to a place where we can afford to save and we can afford to plan for Christmas. But keep in mind, Christmas is about more than just spending and gifts. So one mindset I want to challenge people to adopt,
make your own cards.
I mean, or make your own card. I don't care. But what I'm saying is be upfront with people and be okay telling folks, hey, I'm not able to get you nothing this year for Christmas. but can I invite you over for dinner?
Mhm.
Right.
Like,
That's big. That's really, really big. There was, I forget what book I was reading, but the woman was trying to get financially set. You know, she was trying to get back to that place of, okay, we're at a net zero, because she was running a deficit, and she was very much a giver, and she was very much all about her heart. And she was, oh, I just want to give to people, I want to give to people, I want to give to people. And flat out, like, she couldn't. She was spending something like $10,000 a Christmas season
Jeez.
to get everybody in her family something for Christmas.
nope.
And once she got it in her head, oh my God, I'm spending this much money, and I'm doing it on credit cards, and it's costing us this much.
Yeah.
She was like, look, so Thanksgiving, she said, I know what I usually do for Christmas. This year, we're getting one gift, and I would prefer if we did like a Secret Santa or a swap, so that way everybody gets a little something, but I'm not shelling out this money for all the gifts for everybody this year. And once you take that hard line stand, I live by this. People that mind don't matter, and people that matter don't mind.
Mhm.
So in the event that somebody's like, I can't believe he's not getting me my iPod this year, it wasn't for you. If you understand where I'm coming from, if you understand, look, I'm trying to upgrade my money game, you'll ride with me.
And the crazy, you'll be surprised how many people in your circle are in the same place as you.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, so Sabrina and I, we don't get too many adults presents, maybe like our like parents or grandparents, stuff like that, but we don't get too many adults gifts. Well, we try to get all the kids in our immediate family a gift, because Christmas matter more to kids than to do adults. But we have a lot of kids in our family, like a lot. So it was getting costly, kind of that same, not 10,000, nowhere near, but
Right.
for us costly. So I just went around to everybody in our circle who have kids and like called them, which is like, hey, just give me a heads up. Don't get my kids nothing for Christmas, because I don't plan to get your kids nothing for Christmas. Like, and I'll never forget when I called and told my cousin this. She was like, oh man, that's a relief, because I was kind of feeling the same thing. And it's like, it's so many people in the place that you are. It's just because in families it's like a taboo thing. Like, they just don't talk about it. Don't not give people none. And don't kill all that. Just say something.
Maybe that gives that person the opportunity to spend a little more money on the present for their kid.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I wasn't going to be able to afford the PS5 for you, so I had to get you something lesser. But now that I don't have to buy a bunch of other kid presents,
Right.
maybe we can
Now we
talk
can do
about
that.
PS5.
And we can contribute some money to your college fund.
Right. Which you don't care about right now, but you will.
You will
Yeah.
when you're not going, oh my. I think that's one of the greatest gifts ever. Like, oh, we're doing college funds. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I want my kid to go to a trade school. That's even better. Like, you come out of trade school and, you know, you're working on cars, you're working on elevators, you're working on HVAC systems. It doesn't really matter. But like, that's something tangible, and you know, you're probably going to end up in that field.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, I got a degree in XYZ and I'm a barista at Starbucks. Like, I see that too often, where somebody gets a degree and the degree almost isn't worth the paper it's written on. It's like, that's a lie that we've been told. It's like, there are other things that we can do. You don't need a job. Okay. Income. Yes. It doesn't necessarily have to come from a job. And we talked about the cash flow quadrant last time. Feel free to take a look at Money Monday from the last time we did Money Monday. But yeah, income is needed. A job isn't necessarily the only way it's not the only way to make money. There are 4 different ways to make money, but the idea of giving yourself that opportunity to have that flexibility, that's something that's definitely like a way to go. So if it's a trade school, that's great. And there are savings accounts for, you know, Coverdell ESAs, 529 plans. Like, they're all good for UTMA's Uniform Transfer to Minors Gift Acts, Uniform Gift to Minors Acts, UTMA's and UGMA's. Like, they're all for college and post-secondary education. So definitely talk to your financial advisor if you want some information about that. You can feel free to reach out to the show. But like, that's the idea. Like, you want to get yourself in a situation where you are spending the money that you have because too many people are trying to keep up with the Joneses. And what they don't realize is that they're spending money they don't have to impress people who they don't know, and they don't know them, and they don't even like them.
And those people probably don't even care.
Don't even care. That's the most important part. Like, why is it so important?
Or those people stand back and they look at your nice shoes and your nice clothes and your overly expensive car, and they know you, and they know that you're living outside of your means.
Oh,
and they make fun of you for it.
Oh yeah,
guaranteed.
I'll leave you with this story. Last story of the night, and then we'll wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
I got thrown out of a house early in my career.
Do you mean evicted or physically thrown out?
I was told, get your and leave.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember what I was very new to just finance in general, and I'm doing an appointment. I walk in and I'm like, okay, this lady's she had an Escalade like in the front, and I'm like, man, no tag on the front. I figured maybe she got it insured out of state where you only need a rear tag.
Yeah.
Okay. Not legal, but who cares? I walk in, she's got nice stuff in her house. It was the first time that it wasn't a plasma TV. It was the projector TVs.
Mm-hmm.
They were like $600-700 when they first came out. Yeah, she had one of those. She had a big surround sound system, like dope house.
Plush.
I'm like, why am I here? So I sit down and do the presentation. I'm talking, and she starts telling me all the things, and she's got this debt and the car payment and this and that. And I'm like, ooh, that's why I'm here. That's why I got the referral. Okay. So I was very green. And I said, well, your car payment is $300 a month. This is at a time, this is 20 years ago. That was like a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Her insurance, was like $250. I'm like, man, she couldn't pay the insurance. She couldn't afford to have tags on it. She couldn't afford gas on it. And she was struggling to make the car payment. And I remember talking with her, and I'm like, well, wouldn't it be easy to just kind of reduce some of the debts? Like, could you get rid of the car? And she goes, oh, but what will my friends say if I get rid of the car? And I said, she go,
tell them to them then.
She said, well, it wasn't even what would they say, it was what would they think. I said, what do you think they think about you now? Huge, it was just so direct. And she goes, okay, we're done here. And she threw me out of the house. I had never experienced anything like this before. What do I do? What do I say? Nothing. You just pack your stuff and you leave. And I was like, well, if you have anybody who's looking, and I'm handing her the card, and the door closes in my face, and I was like,
it was pretty ballsy trying to give her a card.
Sad thing is, though, she realized you were right. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been offended.
I challenged her belief directly, and I learned you can't exactly do that. You've kind of got to, there's some salesmanship that goes with that. And it doesn't mean that I was wrong.
Not at all.
It was a very true statement. In the same breath, it's like, I wonder if I still have her information. Maybe I'll follow up with her. Maybe she's married with kids or something. I don't know. But
how's the Escalade?
Yeah, I mean, it was an 04 at the time, so
it's probably non-existent now.
Yeah.
The sad thing is that a lot of those people put up such a good front that sometimes it is difficult to see that they don't have anything. But the people who are in their innermost circles know that, bro, you can't hardly even afford to pay your car payment. You've got all these shoes, all these game consoles, TVs, jewelry.
You asked me for money and you spent it on this. You said you was gonna your rent.
Yep. You can't ever afford to do anything, and you're broke all the time, but you've got all the nicest stuff. And here's the thing, the sad thing about that is, and it takes forever, people forever realize this too, but all of that stuff is constantly in a state of devaluation.
Depreciation.
There's so few things that are gonna gain value, and those things we always go back and wish, oh man, I wish I would have kept my Castle Grayskull from my He-Man collection. It's worth $400 now. Ain't nobody doing that. you might get something out of your shoes. They might be a pair of shoes that somebody is interested in, or we're collectors or whatever. The one item, but for the general, like your car, depreciating, your TV, depreciating, like all of that stuff that you're trying to impress people with, or you're just addicted to stuff. Like, it's just stuff, and it's running your life because you have to have the latest and greatest, or you've got to have this, or you've got to have that. And I'm gonna tell you, if you died tomorrow, it's all getting sold off, and ain't nobody keeping crap.
Nope.
Can't take it with you.
It's worthless. Ain't nobody been like, oh, well, that was grandma's TV.
Yeah,
She
it was
loved
also
it so
40
much.
years old, and it's a CRT. Can we throw this out now?
Right, like you know, don't get me wrong. I'm not
These
saying that
are
you need to
live
live in
images.
squalor, or you know, live like Asian style where it's minimalist. Like, but you know, just do things in moderation and stop trying to impress other people at your own expense. That's a lot of stress on your own life
Yeah.
to have to try to keep up that image like you're like some financial god. Like, bro, ain't nobody. They ain't nobody. Everybody around here trying to like make it by, like especially in today's economy.
Yeah.
And like you ain't got it figured out. And I'm gonna tell you right now, everybody knows that you don't have it figured out.
Right.
Everybody knows that you're not the CEO of some company, or that you're not making, you know, freaking major 6-figure incomes. Like, they know. They're not stupid. You ain't got nobody fooled. You got yourself fooled though.
Absolutely. I'm in with that. My biggest reason for wanting to get wealthy is so that I can help other people get wealthy.
Yep.
Like the idea of, all right, well, I'm going to buy a couple houses. I'm going to fix them up. I know this family either just got displaced or they're in a tight spot. They might need some sort of recompense. Okay, cool. We're going to put you here. We're going to call it affordable housing. I don't know. It's an agreement between you and me. I know you're just coming out of a divorce. You've got the kids, like you're trying to make things work. Okay, cool. Here's the house. It's $125 a month. And, you know, just keep it clean and keep the rent and all that other stuff. Like the idea of being able to affect somebody's life on that level. Great. Somebody is struggling with something, whether it's food or whatever, like just being able to, like, I loved what happened at the church a few years ago, where they, like, it was during the pandemic and we weren't really able to do a lot of outside things. And a couple of families got a couple cars, and it was like, whoa, yeah, because they needed them. And the church saw the need and was able, they were in a position to do something. And it was like, yeah, I want to be able to do something like that.
You say cards or cars?
Cars.
That's
right. You know,
insurance was paid for like 6 months as well. Like the title, everything, all the paperwork was done in advance so that it was like, this is your car. It's free and clear. Like, you know, you're not coming out of pocket for anything.
And that was all money that was raised from the congregation and not from just the general public.
Right.
I was going to say something about the whole keeping up with the Joneses part. There was a guy that I used to work for. He's since passed away. But I went to his house a handful of times. Very modest guy. He dressed well because he was what they call a second level position where I work, but he dressed well, and he was a very nice guy, very business smart guy. But you go to his house and you're like, oh, he's just got, you know, regular stuff, decent house. It wasn't bad. He's got a nice TV, doesn't drive an overly nice car, keeps his car longer than most do. And we were sitting down one day. We talked about finance here and there, and he liked trading stocks and keeping stocks, and he had a computer with a couple screens, and that was kind of unusual at that time. Like, nobody had more than one screen,
right?
But he got his family, you know, comfortable, and you know, they would do Christmases and buy game consoles and stuff, but they didn't go like outlandish. And for his entire time that he'd been working at the company, which was from the time that he was 18, he had been investing in stock on his own and doing all the own research, and like he was pretty good about it. He sat down with me and we were talking about the 529s because the company gives some money for that. If you donate, they do a percent match or whatever.
Nice.
That's dope.
And he was explaining it to a few of us, and then he and I were talking afterwards, and he sat down and he's like, yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot, but I've got a lot. And I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. And he wasn't bragging about it. And I'm like, well, what would you suggest? We got talking about stocks, and I was very green with stocks. I didn't know nothing.
Right.
This was before Robinhood or any of these apps where
Right.
you could go and investigate. And he's like, well, I've had this Fidelity account forever. And he pulls up his Fidelity account, $5.2 million.
Oh my Lord.
And then he goes on to tell me, he's like, when I retired, that was just his investment account. That was not his 401k.
Right.
But he's like, when I retire, this
I
is
don't have a lot, but I have a lot.
Yeah.
Where's the I don't have a lot part?
in
Like-
his life.
Like he
Oh.
doesn't have like a lot of
He's
stuff.
not rolling
Oh,
around.
okay,
The man
okay.
was rich enough where he could have had a brand new vehicle every year.
Yeah, but why?
But he
And that
drove
was the whole
like
point.
a late 90s vehicle, and this was the early 2000s, and he's like, that was the last new one that we had to buy because the transmission went out on my truck that was from the 80s, and I was tired of it and pissed off. And he's like, I hated every minute of the car payment, but because we had a car payment because we had the kids, and I had to buy a reliable vehicle for my wife, and,
Right.
and he didn't like buying stuff, and he wasn't like the cheapest man. Like, oh, I'm, like penny pincher, money miser, crazy. Some of those people are that, like, that dude's rich because he lives in a hole and he's a penny pincher and won't do it. Like Sam Walton driving a truck, from the 70s until the day he died. Yeah, like this dude had a plan for after he retired. Even he's like, hey, I'm going to retire and I'm going to go build this storage unit over here and then start, plopping storage units. And I'm going to let that be my residual income while I still invest. And then, let the 401k pay out plus the pension, because at that he came on the time when they had a pension
Right.
from the company. So he's got pension, 401k. Then we reached the age he could start doing the Social Security as well. And he's like, I got nothing to worry about. Well, he died unexpectedly in a motor vehicle accident, and his family was completely taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's a thing though. Like I'm like, hey,
That's wealth.
he
So-
died and his family had nothing to worry about.
So I was at a conference this past weekend, and I saw a statistic that when it comes to generational wealth, the person who accumulated the wealth, the next generation, 80% of the people in that next generation are going to lose that wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And then of the generation, the 20% that's left, of the next generation, 90% of those are going to lose that wealth. So the idea of teaching,
Mm-hmm.
coaching, training up the kids to understand, okay, this is what I did. And by the way, I'm wealthy. You're not.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's like, I created this. Like I was steward over this money. I created this. So I'm wealthy. You're not. Like, you just happen to benefit from it because you're my kid. And it sounds like, oh, that's so mean. No, it's accurate.
Yep.
I will teach you what is necessary to get where I am, but I'm not going to entrust you with all of this so that now you're like, oh, hey, yeah, I got all this money. Like, can't do it.
And the sad thing today is like, I talk about what that guy did, and he put the time in, because back then, if you wanted to trade stock
Mhm.
and make, you had to do research. Like,
Right.
oh, where do I need to put my money? Where do I need to take my money out of? Move it around, constant. And like, probably when he started doing it, calling brokers and stuff, because none of it was electronic.
Yeah.
But like today, it's as simple as open a Robinhood account or whatever financial app that you want to use.
Right.
Even Fidelity has their own app, and invest in the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. Just keep dumping money into it. It's a growth fund. You can see it. Go look at the charts. They haven't lost over the past 5 years. They intelligently move money around to keep that from happening. Just keep dumping money into it and leave it alone.
Yes. We'll get into that in an investing show, which will be later.
Yeah.
But for now, we have run, it's about an hour and a half.
Yep.
It's a good show.
It was a good
great
show, yeah.
episode. A lot of content. I'm
Y'all
looking forward to the next one.
Y'all remind me of some Jackie Chan had said. He when his son was screwing off, he willed his entire fortune to charity. And when asked why he didn't will it to his son, he said, if he is capable, he will make his own fortune. If he is not, he will do nothing but squander mine.
Yeah.
I said, Jackie Chan. Like,
could you imagine that? Like, reading the stuff, like, oh yeah, cool, I'm ready. You know, my dad's got mad, and you get $5 and his collection of McDonald's coupons, and the rest goes to the Ronald McDonald's house.
These coupons are expired. What is this?
They didn't get a Big Mac.
Right.
Any final thoughts?
Nope.
No, sir.
All right. Well, it's been a fun episode. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being with us for the last hour and a half. We enjoy making you guys had a good time tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Feel free. Once again, the comment section was really good. Definitely take a look at what it is that we've got going on, and we're going to do something more shows like this. We'll still continue to have, Nick, because that's always fun. Next week, we have Seth Arnold. He's a good friend of mine. He is a dungeon master, and we're going to talk little Dungeons and Dragons in addition to some finance. I'll probably go into a little bit of IULs, but we'll get into that next week. Nothing. We're good.
No, sir.
For you guys, thank you for joining us. We are in the Metro for now. GCRX here at Studio B, right here, 1406 Niedring House, right next to the Board Gamery, the Garden Gate Tea Room, Studio C, and the Downtown Diner. And we just appreciate your support. Until next week, you are awesome, amazing, and fantastic. And don't let anybody make you feel different. Have a great week.